Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to talk about workplace resilience. I'm talking with Kevin and Shae Watt today. They are working with Mesa County on a workplace resilience project, interviewing employers about crisis in the workplace. So we're talking today about day-to-day support and then bad days. What happens when your teachers have bad days? We all experience this in the workplace. Then we talk about major crisis and post-crisis strategies, philosophies, culture. If you have a situation in your workplace or have had a situation where you're like, man, I could have handled that better. We covered so many great concepts, theories, philosophies, and practices. Hope you follow along. This is a great experience I had.
We look at workplace resilience as having sort of 4 levels. The 4 levels are basically like day-to-day resilience, like what is the baseline of how we just like navigate a day and help staff members feel maybe supported, or how we identify challenges and just kind of like address them in the moment.
In order for Discovery Kids Learning Center to be a phenomenal place for children to learn and grow, it has to be a great place to work. My role as an owner is currently to support our administration team, whose role is to support our teachers, whose role is to support the children. And in doing that, they're supporting the family. An important piece of the financial side, being willing to do an employee in advance sometimes. I don't know that all employers do that, but that's pretty common in my industry, I bet you, because all too often we're living paycheck, between paycheck. We have an app in our payroll called ZayZoom, so employees can actually initiate their own payroll advance on their own, hands-free of administration. I've been known to sit down with staff many times and do personal budgets with them to help them on the backside with that work life, out of work life finances. Knowing that they're earning a wage that, depending, especially if they're a single mom in many cases, that may not be a living wage. Being conscious of that is important for us. So then we need to really focus on the emotional side if we cannot financially pay them more. The last piece, I think, from the financial, which leads into supporting employees, is quality. If we can raise the quality of our program, make sure the quality of care is the absolute best that we can possibly deliver, then I can raise the quality of pay as well. I've hired individuals that, let's say they were making $21 an hour at a different early childhood facility. And based on their skill set and experience, I have a number, say, that's 18. And that would be my starting, because I'm recognizing that they were actually overpaid at this other. I didn't say they were paid too much money, but they were overpaid for their qualifications at this other program. Also came with lack of support. As I can have an employee that I can keep at 18 and they're willing to stay at 18, where they may be able to go somewhere else, knowing that there's a job opening at 21, because they've got a work family, they've got administrators that are listening, they've got a team of admin and coworkers that have their back.
Do you have a sense of why other childcare providers in our community might not be using this approach? Because it seems real solid.
The owners that are operating and making these decisions and having to navigate all of this are some of the most amazing preschool teachers on the planet. I spent many, many years being in that admin role, front lines at work every day, supporting those teachers. So I know what those challenges as they come in from work challenges and life challenges from our staff members. But if a staff member doesn't feel supported, loved, encouraged, some appreciation, then other thoughts flood their mind, right? They're thinking about conflict that they're going to have at work and so forth. So figuring out how we can support our teachers. And so there's a lot of strategies that we can do that. But that is a core of our day-to-day thought process of supporting our staff.
I'm really struck by something that you are saying here, is that having a healthy and efficient business model is actually something that you do to support the well-being of your staff. So how do we support staff who are having a bad day, or how do we empower them to support each other? How do we prevent a bad day from becoming a bad week, a bad month, a bad year?
Making sure we have coverage is very important. Retaining staff becomes easier when you have good culture and good support. Letting that staff go home and hit the reset button, maybe get to the mechanic and get their car fixed so they don't have to worry about getting to work and back and forth the next day. Conflict with another staff member. We recognize that that dysfunction exists in every workplace as well. Our simple strategy for a bad day crisis, let's say it's an employee conflict. Let's say that Sammy and Sabrina are having a conflict. We want them to go and interact with that employee first and foremost. If they've done that and they need help, then we could sit down with them for a moment, but we want to bring Sabrina into that fold immediately. We don't want to have 3-hour meetings, us and Sammy, about Sabrina, who's in the back door in the other room that we're talking about, right? So we want to bring that person in. It's like parenting 101 or parenting, 201, 301 sometimes. So we got to teach our preschool teachers how to communicate better with their coworkers, with adults, giving them some tools and some skills. And we do that by modeling primarily on how to address conflict.
Then we get into straight up crisis. So we have not been able to stop the bad day from escalating and someone is in crisis. That could be a work crisis, a staff member having a crisis. It could be a home crisis that staff member is kind of bringing with them, but it's not what do we do when things are hitting the fan right now?
From a staff member that was diagnosed with cancer in her 20s, a child that was injured, a parent that got upset and went after a staff member through law enforcement and different things like that. Those things happen in our field. I think the response is maintaining that human element and saying, tell me about how we can help. It's like following through with that human element, on a higher level that all stems from that emotional support in the classroom day to day. Being able to be vulnerable, but also be a shield of protection for them.
We're sort of acknowledging the fact that the group with the highest suicide rate in Mesa County is working age adults. And it's not a workplace's responsibility to maintain the mental health of their staff members, but working age adults spend a lot of time at work in those workplace contexts where resilience is valued and encouraged and structures are put into place to support them. That's just a tremendous opportunity.
Some people, when they're in crisis, they don't know what they need. And so I think that being supportive is just being patient until they figure it out. We use, similar to the workplace, a pyramid model that lays the groundwork for children to be successful, right? Which starts with a learning environment, making sure that their school, that their classroom, that the environment that they walk into every day is ready to receive and is designed in such a way that children can navigate.
How do we help people return to quote unquote normal after the crisis so that we've gotten past whatever the actual crisis moment is? And what does that look like 1 week, 1 month, 1 year from that crisis? What kind of support is available?
Just checking in. Like you said, when they're in crisis, they don't know what they need. Being supportive is just being patient until they figure it out. Not being overbearing, not making too many assumptions about what other people are going through. Because even if you went through something similar, it's going to be different.
We don't just ask once, and if they don't know what they need, then we move on. Keep checking in, and because those needs or the ability to articulate the needs are going to evolve. And it sounds like you really recognize that in your approach.
I'm not the person that always capable of delivering on these things. Like in any organization, there's multiple people typically that have multiple jobs because they have multiple strengths or different strengths. I need someone in my organization that's extremely nurturing. Being nurturing in spirit is like a prerequisite to getting a job. Those are skills that we teach kids, and we're constantly teaching each other.
That caring beyond just the owner-operator. And because I can imagine a world where an owner-operator doesn't explicitly extend that. The other people on the team are like, well, am I allowed to approach it in this way? And it's not clear. It's hard. So
one of the tools that we use as consultants and just in our family life is a framework of communication that is really based on focusing on needs. It goes by a bunch of different names. It's empathetic communication, it's nonviolent communication, but I have watched families and organizations really up their ability to address things that were previously seemingly impossible just by reconnecting with these fundamental needs that folks have.
What I'm hearing is that everything is so woven together that it actually makes sense
Hey, thanks everybody for following along. If you made it this far to the end, I appreciate you. Follow along for more good content supporting the workplace, supporting the classroom, and all things that are early childhood education. Make it a marvelous day.